When I left and came home, it was like I just picked up from where I left off.
But the road home was a long one for Margot Freshwater. At 18, she was living in Worthington. She ran away to Tennessee, where she met local lawyer Glenn Nash, 20 years her senior. In 1968, Margot and Nash were charged with killing 3 people in 3 different states. Nash got off on an insanity plea. Margot was convicted. In 1969, she was sentenced to 99 years in a Tennessee women's prison. But a year later, Margot climbed over the wall and escaped. She remained on the Tennessee Most Wanted list for 32 years. All of those years, she was living right here in Columbus. Were you always looking over your shoulder?
It's funny because when I was interrogated, they asked me that. And I said, I was never looking over my shoulder. And I never was. I was living my life.
Margot got married. She changed her name to Tanya Hudkins and had 3 children. Her husband died.
I could not tell anyone else in my new life about it because then they could be charged if I was ever apprehended.
In 2000, as Tanya Hudkins, she married her current husband, trucker Daryl McCarter, never revealing any details about her murder conviction and prison escape. But in 2002, the FBI tracked her to Columbus, to the Concourse Athletic Club. Her days of hiding were over. But her husband, Daryl McCarter, didn't care about her past.
According to their evidence, that's what they're saying. It makes no difference to me.
Tanya was heading back to Tennessee, facing years behind bars.
When they first took me back to Nashville, I endured some horrendous treatment. Mainly because the state of Tennessee felt that I had made a fool out of them.
Tanya was a model prisoner. In October, 9 years later, appeal after appeal, her lawyers worked out a plea and she was freed, in part because evidence in her favor had been withheld by the prosecutor. She pleaded guilty, but to this day she does not admit to committing any crime.
I came to the conclusion that I would take the Alford plea, which was, it was to my best interest not to go to trial for time served. By doing so, it was going to allow me to go home.
Tanya returned home to Columbus. I sat down with her one-on-one and asked her some tough questions. Was it hard for you, some would say, living a lie?
Well, I didn't really consider it living a lie. I created a new identity. I didn't steal anybody's identity, I just created a new identity. But I incorporated my former life as a child and everything into my new life. I just changed names and places.
Any regrets?
That's a good question. No, I don't have any regrets. I have sadness because the majority of my family this is a hard subject. My mother died while I was gone. My aunt, my grandmothers. So a large portion of my family from my past is gone.
What about the families of the 3 murdered victims in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Florida?
As far as the family, I'm sorry for their loss, but I am not the one that took the life of their loved one.
She blames Glenn Nash, says he's the real killer. I asked her about Nash. Do you want to talk about him?
No, because I don't want to start having nightmares again. All I can say is I too was a victim.
Now, she's grateful for her family and friends and her lawyers and all the people who've believed in her. I'm Carol Luper, ABC 6 News.